2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Herd App Media Network.
Here we are.
We roll into the podcast watching John blow his keyboard. You were. Why are you blowing on your keyboard?
Because it was dusty.
Oh.
Don't you have any you need some of the canned air?
Yeah, that stuff's great.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
I'm in
Exciting
a new
start to the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Super exciting.
Or how about this one?
Yep.
And then
Any
you look
minute now.
down to figure out all the grossness and where it came from.
Hey, do you ever use those? Oh, have you ever made the slime?
Yes.
Use
and then
the
you roll it around.
You can make I made a bunch of that, and so I have some in the truck, so I can use it to clean, cleaning the vents.
right.
Using the
It
slime
gets
to do that.
all of all this.
Is that like
It's
a
kind of like,
detailing
have you ever had
process?
your nose hairs done at the beauty place?
Yes. It's fantastic.
Oh,
But it's amazing.
never ever. Oh my God. It is one of the most, you got to at least do it one time in your life.
Why?
It doesn't
So
even
Pat-
hurt that bad like you think.
Pat,
It's
like the
warm hair.
popsicle sticks, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It kind of looked like a walrus sticking
Mhm.
out. So JT, they take this it's kind of a warmish, coldish wax. I don't think it's not hot by any means. I think they maybe call it a cold wax, but they take a giant Q-tip and they scoop it on there, and then they basically move it around your nostril and then stick it in there. So you have a stick sticking out of one side.
I've seen people do it.
And then they do the other, and then they wait a few seconds, and then they kind of hold your nose a little bit, and then they just pull. And then the best part is then they show it to you,
It's amazing. It's very satisfying.
But why?
because then it gets rid of all, after a certain age, you can't see the hairs no more. It's like all of a sudden you'll look and you're like, what is that in front of my face? And then you'll find a hair this big.
Like in
Thank you,
Magic
Laura.
Johnson.
Laura,
That's
Laura just
really-
said, I just want to point this out right now, watching the chat over here. Laura just said, ladies don't have those nose hairs.
Oh, they don't?
Not like that.
No.
Well,
not on
dude
the
should
tip.
do it. Dude,
Well, I
mean,
think
John,
this is
dude
our
should do it.
version of the Brazil.
And the same way.
Yeah. Our version of the Brazil.
This is your bikini wax.
Yeah.
Your runway strip. Anyway,
It doesn't hurt like you think it would. Like you pull
I don't-
one hair out and it kills, but if they do them all and it's a little,
Right.
it's warmish, it doesn't really hurt that bad.
Uh-uh.
Surprisingly.
what
But I'm
brought
like-
this up?
And then you're always like, okay, can I see it? And you look down and it looks like a hedgehog was pulled out of your nostril.
Have you? Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, by the same token, this is something you probably haven't done. Is Biore strips
No, I have a story about a Biore strip.
on your nose in particular? You use those Biores on your nose, and then when you pull it off, and then you look at it, and especially if you hold it up to a little 10x mirror, so
Right.
so you can really see it. It looks like a forest,
Well,
and it's like
and the alien eggs. It looks like little alien eggs. Well,
four
what happened?
alien eggs.
So the first time I did it, because I'm a, what are they called? So there's audio learners, visual learners, and
Tactile.
kinesthetic, right? So I'm mostly auditory and kinesthetic. So I either listen or do. I very rarely like to read the instructions.
Oh,
So I
Pat,
didn't
you
read
guys are
the
like
ins-
twins, aren't you?
I'm audiophonic too, or whatever.
Yeah. So I did not read the instructions. So I put them on there and I was basically, left them there. So when I went to peel it, it took the skin with it. So when I looked, I had a whole layer of skin and I had a bridge of skin missing off of my nose for a month.
I've never.
I was so worried it was going to scar and it was bleeding. It was running down the top of my nose.
I
was
didn't.
like,
Oh my god!
so to
Okay.
me, I'm like Biore is like devil spawn.
You can once you put them on, then you can wet them again if it sticks too much to pull them off. Just so you know.
I'm I can't even walk near the aisle where they're kept.
Oh my god!
PTSD. Have you ever used Nair, Johnny?
Oh,
Ugh.
of course, I'm gay. Of course, I can use Nair.
Just,
You want to talk?
You know, I'm just want to say Nair now is different than Nair was.
Except for when I used it, basically it was a chemical exercise and experience.
Yeah.
First of all, they say don't put it near your eyes or your groin, and some other places. And of course, all the gay guys are like, "Well, where else are we going to use it?"
You get-
So we're like, screw it.
So-
Let's just see what happens.
Oh my god! No, the Nair from years ago is
Right.
not the same formula.
No, I'm
That
sure
stuff
that the
was-
Nair from years ago was also used to kill weeds.
Oh yeah,
Guaranteed. Yeah.
and it's the smell in
Yeah.
the bathroom.
Okay, so I used it on my back down here, my flanks, what those are called. Before we went to, no, it sounds super hot. I don't know what it's called, but so before Beth and I went to
straps.
Mexico,
Your pelt.
my pelt. But before we went to Mexico a few years ago with our friend Angie, and it was the night before we were leaving, and I'm like, I better get my stuff done. And Beth's like, hey, let's use Nair on your back. So she put Nair all over my back, and then she got distracted. I don't know. I didn't read the instructions. I'm audio tonic. And so I'm sitting there in the bathroom and she puts it on. I'm trusting her, my future wife, and I'm just sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm there. The girls went off to do something else, like downstairs. I'm
You
like,
smell
"Hey,
skin burning.
I did. I'm like, hey, you guys, isn't it? And they're like, you're fine. It's not even time.
Smoke is in the
13 minutes
bathroom.
later, like literally, I'm like, you guys, something stinks. And they came back upstairs and they scraped it off, and I had like burn wings on my back. Yeah. the hair
That's
was
okay.
gone.
Can I just start off by saying that making any kind of major cosmetic adjustments right before a big event is not a good idea. Like you
No.
don't dye your hair, you don't get a spray tan,
No,
you don't wax, you
Yeah.
don't.
I did one of those, like a little, like just for men. I just thought, well, I'm going out, and it was like right in that transition of like, do I go salt and pepper or not? My vanity won. So I did a fresh like job and then went to a Husker game, and I looked like Giuliani at Four Seasons Landscaping. I had shit dripping down. And I had this white Husker hat on. I pick it up and look, and it looks like I've grown a butthole on my head, and it's like exploded. And somebody goes, what is that? Just like Giuliani. Everybody's like, what is that dripping down his face? That was me like 10 years before. I laid the groundwork for that disaster.
You were cool way before. Yeah, you were.
I walked so Giuliani could go to Four Seasons Landscaping.
It's like, do as I say, not as I do, folks. I'm telling you right now. I'm just telling you, don't do this one. Don't.
Honey.
So
Eddie did it.
speaking of Nair, so for years, so my best friend, right away his hair started thinning and it started showing up on his back like way early. We're talking like in our 20s. And we would go to the beach out at Santa Monica. And he's the one that I think I told you about the story of wanting to play Frisbee. And Vita is his name, David, but we call him Vita, was always a little full figure than everybody else of all the boys. And so he would set up shop on the beach, and he'd have this giant umbrella, and he'd bring a cooler, and it would have like a 5-course meal in it. And of course, all the little gay guys are like having, grapes and a lemon wedge because we're on the beach. And he'd be out there with just a full-on spread, just sitting side saddle, just eating his food. So I came up one day, and I had my Frisbee, and he's from Mississippi. And I said, hey, David, like a puppy, come play Frisbee with me. And I had my Frisbee, and I'm like, come on. And he looked at me, literally, like pulled his sunglasses and said, child, the only way I'm going to chase that plate is if it has food on it. And pulled his glasses right back up and continued eating his charcuterie, which back then it was just cheese and meat on a plate. But anyway, so he would make me nair his back. So the only way he would go to the beach with me is if I would nair his back. And I literally would be like,
Advertising.
don't make me do it. And I'd have to, and he would just be standing there just looking in the mirror, and I'd be back there slathering that stuff on. And
Did he have a pelt, like a super
and then
thick
take
hair?
a towel, and it was like glue and melted, but it worked. He was like smooth as a baby's butt when I was done, but I was traumatized. I mean,
Yes.
Was it like the pelt, like where it's just like a rug?
Had shoulder hair when he was in 6th grade.
Mhm.
I mean, just like Chad. Chad is like literally, there is no distinction between his chest hair, his back hair, the hair, what's left of his head. Like it's
Is he
all
like
just one
kinda-
forest.
Kind of the missing link.
Yeah,
kinda
there's no like
somewhere-
definition. Like,
Do you do any
anywhere.
like
It's
any
kinda-
like
Yeti?
landscaping at all, like that separates the front and backyard and stuff like that, or no?
No, it just kind of all wraps around.
Goes-
And no, he has like a little strip on the side that just kind of like there's a skin zone there.
Racing stripes. Those are the racing stripes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he doesn't make me do any of that except for trim the back of his hair every once in a while. He's got it all mastered with the beard trimmer and all that stuff. I mean, he's up there like for 45 minutes, and all I hear is.
Oh yeah. When it's time to trim up, it's a
Yeah.
15 it's a 20 25
Yeah,
minutes.
has to
ordeal.
stand in the shower so it all gets washed
Yes.
like down in the shower, and it's like a whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I'm glad I don't have that.
I didn't walk in. This was years and years and years ago. And when I moved back up here from Tulsa, with my ex, we were staying at my in-laws, her parents, in the basement. And I'm like, I needed to trim. It was that time. So I went to the basement, thought I was all by myself, shut the bathroom door, didn't lock it though. And I completely took all my clothes off. And this was before I thought about getting in the shower. It was lay a towel down and then whatever. So I'm doing that, and it couldn't have been more perfect timing. And I'm literally bent down, butt to the door, and I'm getting some whatever nether region area down. And my brother-in-law walked in and just wiki right there. Just saw right. I couldn't get a more perfect position for him to see my knot, and he did. And it was traumatizing for everybody. We didn't talk for I think 2 or 3 days. He was just,
What are you gonna? You can't even make eye contact.
no, you're just like, hey, what's up? Hey,
No, because he had eye contact that changed his life.
have eye contact.
The whole entire direction of his life just went like.
Oof. Yeah, you changed everything for him. That changed his path,
It's like
his
he was just
trajectory.
going and supposed to graduate college and then go get that big corporate job. And
Yeah.
boom.
I should have played Brown Eyed Girl every time I saw him.
You should. You should have that on your ringer. Oh my God.
Without a doubt. Oh my God.
So I was supposed to be in trial today. So we started trial on Wednesday, an 8-day trial. It's my first one in Douglas County since the pandemic started.
Mhm.
What a shit show. So it was bonkers. So we pick a jury, and I thought it was a really good jury. And right after we picked a jury, one of the jury members had fallen ill. And so we had to dismiss her. So we were down to one alternate. And then overnight, we lost 2 more jurors. So we had picked a jury. I did my opening statement. And the next morning, COVID hit. And the trial got canceled. My expert from Chicago, who I'd been spending hours with, prepping and all that,
Yeah.
was literally sitting out on a bench, and I'm like, trial's over. Like, just COVID blew it up. And I can't even tell you how much money went out the door like that.
Oh
That's
man,
just
yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
That's-
it's because and so it got pushed to January. But I mean, there's like 10 people that I know right now who's either kids, or I feel like there's a lot of kids right now that are getting it. But I feel like, I don't know if you guys, but it seems like the numbers are going back up again.
I don't
and
know.
It's just bonkers. But yeah, I mean, entire 8-day trial. Just
So how does that work with a trial? Like you have defendants, you have witnesses, you have all this stuff, and is the case just put on hold? The charges, everything just put on hold?
everything's done.
Smith?
We go back, and the next trial date that worked for us is January of 2023.
Oh.
And this is our 4th time trying to do this case. We had 2 trial dates. They got continued because of the pandemic. And then we had a new trial date, and then an expert passed away in a plane crash.
Oh my god.
And then we finally got our trial, and we started the trial, and I gave my opening statement, and they were going to give their opening statement the next morning. And so I didn't even get to see what they were going to say, but they got to see what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then,
Why can't they do it remotely?
it's just our system is just not set up for that yet. For example, like this courtroom is it's a new judge. She did amazing. She's this, I think, is her 2nd civil case, 1st medical malpractice case she was doing. And she did an amazing job. I mean, it's, you could tell she was really focused and really wanted to get it right, for both sides, being really, really fair to both sides. And you could tell she was just frustrated herself, and that her hands were tied. We did not have 12 jurors, and with the civil side, the defense has the right to 12 jurors, and we couldn't go down to 11. And then the risk was, because of the positive COVID test, that we were not going to be able to even continue, because it's a very small courtroom and 14 people were in a space of about 15 feet.
Okay, so let me ask you this, just honest question.
Yeah.
First off, are there not alternates?
Yeah, so we had two, but we lost one the very first day. Like,
Okay.
I mean, literally, we hadn't even started the trial and we lost one. And so she got dismissed. So then we had one alternate, and then overnight we lost two more. And so we were under the threshold of 12.
So did this, I mean, prior to COVID, if somebody came down with pick a melody, did trials get stopped?
No, because if you're two alternates, historically, that was always enough. Because usually you wouldn't even need them. In rare instances, would you lose one? But I think if I have fellow attorneys, I'm going to, who might have trials coming up, and especially with the two new variants that are flying around now that have made their way into Nebraska, is get 4 or 5 alternates.
I'm surprised that wasn't kind of like,
well, usually you only ask for one. Yeah, usually only ask for one. So the fact that we asked for 2, was kind of like out of the ordinary, but that clearly wasn't enough.
Interesting. Well, hopefully, Jesus, wait till next January. And that makes you mad for both the person who is the victim in the case. Of course, the other side is like,
sure. And they want their day. They want, they were just as devastated as we were, because, they want, this case.
The longer things go, the longer things wait, the more chances something can go wrong. That's where there's more chances you can have that technical foul, where it's just like, oh, for God's. I remember we've talked about this before about being on juries, and I was on a district court jury, and it was fascinating. It was a drug case, and the undercover cop was in the courtroom, and lo and behold, they were picking jurors, and they got it all done, and then they realized there were some documentation that was dated wrong, and the case got thrown out.
Wow.
And it was a big case. This was in central Nebraska, so you can only imagine, because that's where a lot of that crap goes down.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was a district court case, and it was like, it's something like that, but it's like the longer things keep progressing in this case, you keep thinking, okay, there's an opportunity for either something to go wrong or for something to get discovered that maybe hadn't been discovered. But yeah, it just kind of messes up the game plan, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it was just it was crazy, because we even talked about it the very first day. We were just like, when we were getting ready to start picking the jury, we started talking, and I didn't know if it was a defense attorney on the other side, and I have a good working relationship with him, and so we were talking about we were seeing numbers tick up, and we're like, gosh, I hope we can get through 8 days without it, rearing its head. And so he even during jury selection, asked the entire pool, like, hey, was anybody around anybody who has a close contact or anything, out of the gate, and nobody raised their hand. And of course, nobody will necessarily know. I just didn't think it would happen.
Yeah. I haven't heard. I don't have anybody. I'm trying to think. Did we have somebody recently at work that was near somebody? I think maybe.
Yeah. We had somebody that was like 2 weeks ago was positive, and then they were out for a week. And
I mean, just you're being positive and you're not sick. It's like. Okay, I mean, how many times, and so there you are, frustrated. You have to stay out because that's the rule for now. And it's like, it's really frustrating, because you start to wonder. It's like, okay, when do we say, okay, I was probably positive with the flu a few times and wasn't really sick, or I was positive with something else and didn't know it. It's frustrating. It really is.
In our office, we make it a rule, because we don't make a distinction with it, COVID or cold or the flu. Like, if you have symptoms at all,
look, if you have any symptoms, you should stay home.
You stay home.
If you have symptoms, stay home. But
I just say stay home. You're never going to. And we moved to a PTO system like a long time ago, so nobody felt like, look, if you needed a mental health day, you don't have to say, I don't feel so good.
Seriously,
it's your time. Use it. But try to do your
Yeah.
best. That if you have symptoms, just stay home and
Stay home. And most people can work from home.
Yeah, we got a lot. We set up remotely and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, anyway,
will
so it was pretty devastating, for my client because she was ready to
roll.
Ready to be done. And
Julian asked a question in the comments. She missed what the trial was for.
It's a medical malpractice case, and I don't want to put too much information out there just in case somebody would be listening that might get jury duty. What I would say though is, and JT, you brought this up about how interesting the process is. If you do get a summons for jury service, I really highly recommend that you do it. Number one is, besides voting, showing up as a juror is one of the best things that you can do. We have, even though it has its flaws, we do have the best system in the entire world.
Can I just say too that you do? I mean, and they'll say, well, you only get, what is it, $35 or $45?
Yeah, right.
for pay, but it's like you get so much more that's not money.
Right.
Not only, just as far as all the other people that show up, it's an interesting case when you're in the pool and you see just all walks of life here, and these are all people you don't know, and and then going through that process and then start just seeing it happen. Yeah, it is.
I want to do it. I want to do it.
Pat wants to. Pat's never been called.
I'm like that guy.
I have not.
I want her to love me, but she won't.
I've never been called, and so here I am in, I live in Sarpy County, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, it's maybe a smaller pool, maybe be more likely to be called, but neither Chad or I have been. Wait, no, I think maybe Chad did, but I have not been called. But as an attorney, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pat.
No, I'm saying I think it'd be like just see the process, like you said. I think it'd be fascinating.
Oh, I'm just dying to go in there. I've done focus groups before, and so if you've ever had the opportunity to do a focus group, that gives you like a little taste of what it's like to be a juror. So if you ever really are questioning whether you want to be a juror, obviously, getting ripped out of your life to sit is a big ask. But on the other side of that, I mean, it really is what keeps our system going, whether it's your freedom from going to prison, or justice for, a crime that's happened, or justice for an injury, or defending yourself against an unjust, lawsuit.
Accusation or
right. Exactly.
You were on a jury on Survivor, so you can't say you did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for rubbing that in.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I did kind of get a little taste of that, except for we didn't deliberate. They just asked us who we voted for. You know what I mean? But I really want to be on one because I want to see how it works. But I think now, because of being an attorney as well as a nurse, that's going to take me out of a lot of different kinds of cases that would be involved. I think like if I was ever to be on one, it would have to be so unrelated to anything I've done professionally. But man, I would love the opportunity to be in there and watch the mechanics and how does it work. And but with one thing I will tell you is that of all the trials that I have done, and there's people who have done so many more than I have, I'm always amazed at the commitment of the jurists. I mean, they take it very serious. I don't think that you'll hear about activist jurists that are trying to sneak on that are either pro or against, trials and things like that and civil justice. But in my career, I really haven't run into that. I think that when people go in there, they understand the stakes. And I think most people are exceedingly fair, even depending, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you find yourself, in. When somebody's being asked to go in and, and put up the right hand and go in there and swear to be unbiased and follow the law, they do it.
They do it. They absolutely do it.
It's a cool process. So I'm really sad for our client that, that happened, but we're going to work hard to see if we can get it resolved and put it away. But yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to shift gears on you real quick because I came across something. Of late, I've made mention of it a couple of times, and I realized that I've fallen into a new pattern. I'm kind of like decluttering some things in my house and in my life, right? And so I've caught a few videos, watching some stuff on YouTube. Good ideas, because it's not all. What's her name? Marie Canto, something like that. Yeah, you're that kind of thing. It's not there are several different ways of uncluttering, decluttering.
Uh-huh.
And I came across one. Have you ever heard of this? And first off, have you ever heard of this YouTube channel called But First Coffee?
No. Mm-mm.
But First Coffee. That's the name of the channel. And she gets millions of views. But she did a thing the other day on a form of cleaning called Swedish death cleaning.
Death?
Swedish death cleaning. That sounds like terrible.
Marie Kondo. Thank you, Christina.
Kondo. There you go.
There it is. Yes, because you spark joy. So either you love it or you get rid of it, right? But this one's Swedish death cleaning, and she does such a great job with her presentation. So I stuck around for it because if it had been awkward or clumsy, I would have I'm out. But there's a book about it, and what it is, and it makes total sense. Is for people when it comes to their house, especially they say that most people that do this are in their 60s or 70s. And that's when they decide it's time to go ahead and clean everything out so their family doesn't have to deal with it.
Oh, yeah.
When they die.
There's the death cleaning comes. Gotcha.
Death cleaning. So that's the point of it, is to go through and keep the things that are important. And she started telling some stories, and it kind of sparked some things with me. Is one in particular is she had her husband, and she got divorced. And it was a long story, but it wasn't ill will. It was the way things went down. But he ended up dying in a car accident not long after they got divorced, and she had his leather jacket. And she kept that leather jacket for 20 years.
Mm.
And it was always either on a hall tree or it was in the closet. She never wore it, but she had it. And she says, and she's got kids now, but they're little kids. She says, so how long do I keep this jacket? And when I pass away, what do my kids do with it? Because they don't know the attachment that was there. And it's like, I got to think about some of the crap I have in my house that I just have some kind of emotional attachment to, or it's because it belonged to grandma, or because it belonged to,
Right.
and I've got it, and I can't get, it doesn't mean anything to anybody else,
Yeah.
but it's taking up space.
Yeah, I have a number of those types of things that I just can't let go of because they are touchstone to a certain time of my life, and it was an important time, so that's why I hold on to it.
It is, and so you kind of wonder, okay, so how long do you wait? And it's Christina just had written in here too. My mom constantly jokes when she buys new things for the house. Well, it's fine. You'll have to deal with it when I die.
Which would be the opposite of the Swedish death cleaning.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really interesting. But the channel is really fascinating. If you get a chance to check it out, she's got a lot of really good content on there.
That other, I just saw this pop up. It's called the Denmark dump. If you don't get rid of it before, it's the Swedish death cleaning or the Denmark dump.
Dump.
Right.
I don't believe you. By the way, before we go today, I just gotta say, I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you.
Very Waldo-ish.
Yeah, it is. Where's John?
When he popped in, he was frozen when he first popped in this morning. Your hat's askew slightly, and he had this cute grin on his face, and there he is in his glasses. I'm like, he looks like a cartoon. He looks like
I am our cartoon character. Who are you kidding?
Which I thought was awesome. But I like the glasses a lot.
Thank you. They're my little readers, and I love them. They kind of remind me of Waldo and
Harry Potter-ish.
Yeah, there you go.
Potter.
It's Harry Potter. That's exactly right. Yeah.
That'd be a great dance name for you. Be Perry Hodder.
Harry Hodder. Hey, I'm a huge Harry Styles fan right now, just so you know.
Harry Styles is a genius. He's
oh my gosh. I'm like, yes.
You guys talk. Go ahead.
I'm like,
his album is
Harry. I know. Chad is like, can we just listen to something different? I'm like, why? Well, get out.
Yeah.
Leave.
Go play with the goats.
Right.
Go.
Yeah.
John, I'll come over and we'll wax our nose hair and we'll listen.
Harry's. Yes. Yeah. No.
You guys can have a boys' night, waxing nose hair and listen to Harry Styles.
Yeah. I just literally, when I'm drawing and stuff, I'll just put on Harry's House and just have the whole thing on repeat. And they're just, it's a great album, and he's just doing so good, and it's just a good spirit, and it's just, it's just awesome.
That's awesome. Oh my God. Well, Johnny, thanks for popping in with us. Always
sorry
fun.
for the delay. So when Elon Musk is not having children, he's got Starlink, and so So we had to upgrade we have Starlink here because we're out in the
good. I was
country.
going to ask.
Yeah, so we have the first generation, and then Chad ran it over with the UTV. But they were great. They sent out a replacement, no charge, and so they've upgraded this in the second generation. They have these things called meshes. So you have your original setup with your router, and then you plug in these other things. So I'm in my little home office shed art studio thing that we have. We put in because I don't have a home office actually inside the house, so I'm always on the kitchen island, and it's gotten too hard on my back and stuff to sit up there. So we actually built a cool little space, and so that's what I'm in. So my Starlink meshes are coming today. So next week I should have full on fantastic.
That's awesome. And nice reference with Elon Musk and his kids. Because I saw the funniest post just yesterday that Nick Cannon reached out to him and just said, samesies.
Yeah, exactly. We're like brothers with different mothers. Like lots of different mothers.
They both have all these children. It's like they are doing the job of many men.
Well, and isn't one of them like an executive within like his company? I thought always that was like a no. Like,
well, it's his company.
It is. Yeah.
I mean,
and his Starlink.
He takes care of them. I'll give him this. Yeah. He does have a lot. Who is the football player that has like 20 kids?
Crystal Walker.
Throw a dart.
Pat.
I'm just saying. You always see football players throwing balls all over the country.
There's one that that's kind of stands out, and I can't remember his name. He's another one. And then I was like, when I saw that thing from Nick Cannon, I'm like, it'd be kind of a fun little exercise, but that's how my mind works, just to kind of go through and see who the modern day super dads are that are out there that have multiple children.
Yeah, like the whole new definition of super dad, like multi-dad.
Right, just prolific, able to, but also is taking care of his family. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. That's the other side of it too. It's one thing to have a ton of kids. It's another if they're taking care of everybody.
Right, exactly.
Right, that's the follow through.
Yeah. So my little shed here, I don't know if you can see. So literally, this is all cedar. You see it? How do I do this? This way. I'm in the wrong direction. So.
And he's gone.
I think we just unplugged.
Oh, hold on. Nope. Give me a second. See this?
Okay, he's still there. No worries.
Oh my God. It's because there we go. So see that that is just old. I got a free pallet of cedar fencing and just ripped it all down. And
super cool.
This is a tough shed.
I like that.
What it is. Yeah, it's in there. And then I made a little art studio on the other side of it. And so you can see like my left brain, right brain actually has two different kinds of floors.
Of course it does.
Awesome.
Of course it does.
And so I've been doing art.
Oh my God.
Honey, when we're done, will you take a picture inside and we'll use it as our episode art so people can see it? That's okay. That'd be super.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like, that's your she shed.
It is. It's like literally half of it is built for work and the other half is for play.
I've always wondered about, they have the she sheds, which usually are a little more comfortable than most tool sheds, right? But I'm thinking, what's the guy's version of that? Because I mean, some guys like you want something that's a little more creative, but it's not necessarily a she shed because it's a he shed, but it's not like the regular manly man, or what do I say, the
man
real
cave.
Man cave kind of thing, but it's still a very creative space.
Yeah, it's we call it, so at the outside of it is yellow, black, and white. So it's called the Goldfinch House. It's from the American goldfinch.
Yep.
So we call it the Goldfinch, and I wanted a space where I could work and write and do all of that, but I also wanted a place to play and paint. And so I started painting and drawing, just because I never did that as a kid. And during the pandemic, I was like, I gotta have an outlet for like all this stress and anxiety.
I bought some paint by numbers, but I never used them.
Yeah. So I've just been playing around with different paints and charcoal and just watercolor and just trying to figure out. So I'm definitely an abstract kind of person.
Yeah, but you have talent, John.
Well, I have I have fun. So
it looks like you have talent to me. I mean, all the stuff that you've shown us so far.
I would say.
Well, thank you. So so I'm having fun, and what I like to do is create stuff for other people. So if like somebody has an idea of something that like, hey, I have a little office and I'd like a little something and I'm cool with abstract. I do that, like with charity auctions and stuff. And so somebody will donate $100 or whatever. It doesn't go to me. And then I'll make a piece of art and then send it to them. And then, and so that's fun.
I'm going to keep that in mind because we have some events coming up that with some organizations and maybe we can work something out.
Oh, I would love to do it.
I would love to
do it. Yep. And so if anybody's out there, the same thing. I mean, I'm not great. I have fun. And it's, a lot of my stuff is fun. So, and some of it is emotional. Like there'll be times I'll like be definitely painting something that is, darker. But it's a great outlet and it's awesome. So yeah, this is Tough Shed and it's really well built. And so by doing the cedar planking and then putting the insulation, I could do a sound studio in here. It's
I can't. Well, once you get your Starlink back up and running,
right. It's coming today. I'm so excited because I've been struggling with getting the Wi-Fi out to here.
Awesome.
It's been hard for work and stuff, but it's been a little bit spotty. But once I get that set up, it's going to be awesome. So I'll let you guys know. Like when it works, you'll be able to see how well it works.
We'll plan on next Friday. We'll
Okay.
do this again. We're going to roll for now.
Okay.
And I got to kick Pat out because he's got to go hit a meeting. But every Friday 9-ish we'll be here.
It's a soft 9. We call it a soft 9.
Right. It's soft 9.
Yeah, soft 9.
Soft 9.
Oh, whoa. Let's just leave that alone.
I know. I was that'll be the title for the podcast. Johnny, thank you guys for watching, listening, and get your podcasts. Well, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Just subscribe to us.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Huda Media production.